嘿，欢迎大家回收看沃芬狮的游戏频道。那我们今天第二阶段的这个开放大家自由选择想看的游戏节目的时段开始啊。那8点预计到9点的时候统计大家的投票意见嘛。那在这期间，我会来观摩一下《世纪帝国3》的比赛转播，然后看一下别人的比赛转播的讲解，顺便了解一下德国是怎么玩的。蛮意外的，他的我印象中，德国在《世纪帝国3》的阵营评价没有很顶尖，奥特曼应该也不是很顶尖，可是这是他们这一场比赛的决赛 ，Hetzer Chan 跟 Hetzer， 所以我阵营是德国对奥图曼。我现在有哪些已经安装好的游戏？我可以让你简单看一下列表，但是这个列表不会很小我想显示已就绪的游戏。好了，如果真的希望看清楚的话，可以在我每一次滚动的时候暂停看一下我现在有哪些游戏是已经安装好的。有推荐的卡牌类游戏吗？其实我没有。我最近也都没有怎么玩卡牌游戏。我其实有考虑过，因为War Thunder的经验让我觉得真的是蛮可惜的，就是没什么利用到，我浪费一堆时间练它，然后游戏也没有开成节目。所以其实我前阵子有考虑过自己设计一款就是基于2战空战的卡牌游戏，就是每个玩家的牌组就是扮演一台飞机，那你的卡牌是你能够做的动作跟能够打的一些招式。那每个飞机的能量保持特性、武装的特性跟作战形式的风格可能会不太一样，这样。那但是没有很完整的概念了，那只是跟大家聊聊而已。卡牌的话，魔法风云会一直都是经典的，可是新的游戏我大概是没什么接触卡牌游戏。昆特我也一直都没有玩过。然后炉石战记我一直觉得蛮垃圾的。Project Zamba 有一票 ，Hardfire 一票 ，OK。买昆特牌送巫师3。好，帮你们记下来 ，Project Zamba Hardfire。
Okay. But as far as I know, the main thing is that this observer mod
能玩战争雷霆的海战模式吗？好了，我也开放大家投了，但是我是已经把战争雷霆移除了，所以他要重新安装也要蛮久的。一票战争雷霆海战在我没有玩之前，我有去摸过一下英国的，所以我是有解锁1-2只船。这个还会显示它已经研发好的科技耶。如果有世纪3的高手可以愿意告诉我，他这个先走市场的模式是什么流派？我很好奇，他是只有德国可以这样玩吗？他一开始就盖市场，然后人数很少这样。不用会员呢？我们现在这个1个小时是开放大家告诉我你想看的是什么，你只要在现场你有出现，你就可以告诉我，我会帮你记下来。你现在就可以投票了。如果你等一下不会留下来哈拉的话，你也可以先投票。黑暗灵魂2。ZhiWei Chen。
I think there was sort of a 60 coin treasure up here, if I remember correctly, or was that wood? Either way, nothing super big. Yeah, nothing game.
COS 内战一票。
Yeah, 100 food here for the German explorer.
走佣兵，应该跟佣兵没什么关系吧？他是先开市场，然后去升级市场的打猎或是伐木这些东西。他现在在升级伐木，所以我不太知道这些高手的 BO 是什么特别的东西，因为跟我之前玩到的基本款的流程好像差距蛮大的，不管是法国还是英国。我印象中，在另外一场高手的比赛，我也看过法国的流程是先开市场，然后伐木、盖一栋住宅，然后才开始采肉、上科技。Zomboy Project 不是 Project Zomboy 吗？为什么你们一直打反？是 PZ 不是 ZP 啊？好了 ，Project Zomboy 有3票，大家非常支持中汉的吹票。林克算高手吗？我不知道，应该算吧。如果照他自己的描述，应该不烂呢、不好理解，因为我没有在 follow 他们的排行榜。大家都是 copy 别人的，一步错，步步错。这很人类，这非常的 human。内战2票 ，OK。战争雷霆海战模式2票。前进兵营。And yeah, he'll be well ready to repel that with those bows. Looks like. 就我之前听大家讨论世纪3的评价来说，应该是说奥图曼是早期强势才对啊。然后他这边已经是走先开市场，好像很经济的打法了，然后结果他还比对方更早进入军事准备。没有，这个是奥图曼的兵营，所以刚才他切换的时候把红蓝色对掉了，我想说奇怪，所以是奥图曼在过半线的地方盖兵营，然后开始产他的土耳其火枪兵。奥图曼是后期吗？是吗？ZhiWei Chen 加1。都可以投啊，都可以投。这不思议王冠加1。
Oh no, will he get it up in time? Is the question. I think that really is a race against time. No, it looks like.
然后，Q2 现在是3票，跟 PZ 一样。Project Zomboy 跟 ZhiWei Chen 内战现在是3票。Heart of Iron 1票，沃桑的2票，黑暗灵魂2 1票，然后不思议王冠1票，英雄联队2现在4票。钢四2票。
Phased by it, going to leave those villagers gathering. They're all very close to the town center thanks to that immaculate herding. And a couple of hussars do pop out. Not a very big batch, just the 2 units, but it is certainly enough to scare away the units that Germany's getting for free from indeed that from his shipments there. However, his janissaries are on this side of the map. They do just clean up this trading post here, but it does mean on the other side, the far left here, Hetzer is able to take down this one. So sort of exchanging trading posts.
德国把奥图曼的一个贸易战烧掉了。
What I'm interested in, and perhaps you can shed a bit more light, is what do you think of this opening from Hetzer Chan? Then he's gone with this.
然后德国走这个市场的流派是没有贸易战的，他一开始没有盖到贸易战，现在才开始盖。
Diligently dispatch those raids, but has decided to build a stable, which I don't think is a very common building you see.
新版的《世纪帝国3》跟原版能连线吗？我不知道，应该是不行诶。如果照《世纪帝国2》第一版的状态，应该是不会跟以前的版本连线的，因为整个都不一样啦，版本的平衡性不一样，部队的阵营的特性不一样，都有改动。第一应该也有3代第一才新增的特性吧。
So he will be going for, it looks like some kind of push later on here, maybe going to just wait
Project Zambio 现在是4票，加上 Tony， 我刚才没有算到。如果你们在聊天室发表你想看的东西，然后确定我没有在言语上去帮你读票回应到的话，记得提醒我，因为有可能我漏掉，我在看比赛。
Ultimately distracting these Janissaries, managed to get them away. They're now heading towards the enemy player's base where he knows there are no military units. Perhaps he'll find some kind of house that he can siege or that's too far away.
平衡小洞没错啊，但是就是那些东西不一样啊，像是像是法国也不是一直都有果树丛加成啊，在《世纪帝国2》来说，它也是某一张资料片加上去。然后第一版我有点忘记哥德、匈奴这些都有动啊，我印象中匈奴应该有小 buff， 然后哥德也有小 buff。投票改 Ring World， 好啊，我随便你啊。你刚刚是投什么？哦，你刚刚是投 PZ 哦。你确定吗？剩下3个投 PZ 的人可能会白眼你耶，你要这么不合群哦。贝武夫果然被霸凌不是没有原因的，太白目。
Anyway, stagecoach is up. And at least, you know, Kaiser Klein only has 2 active trading posts. So these units have performed enough to really delay Kaiser getting that up and running this entire time, which is good.
探险家被霸凌，部队死光光，然后没盖好的贸易站看起来是不会被烧掉，那只是被延误而已。因为德国目前的军队量应该还是没有奥图曼多。他现在有马战车，我靠！这是《世纪帝国3》的快速城堡，就对了。快速要塞时代。有玩过 CS:GO 吗？没有，我没有 CS:GO， 我根本没有拥有那一款游戏。
A couple of Minutemen coming out just in time as the Hussars land on top of the skirmishers, luring them into the closest possible moment to get that most value that they can. These Janissaries running around in melee combat on top of the war wagons here.
哈扎加一是什么意思？哈扎不是这个选手的名字。
Easy enough to do, except war wagons do have that 20% melee resist, but still Janissaries in hand combat certainly do more.
啊 ，CS:GO 是免费的，我怎么没有吧？我记得 CS 全球行动当初是付费的，它什么时候变免费的？我没有买啊。我还蛮肯定那款游戏之前是付费的。
So the initial 5 that he trained from his barracks there, so that skirmisher mass still managed to kill those, keeping on top of that. Let's switch on over. Pardon me. It looks like skirmisher shipment is now on the way. So when that arrives, I imagine he'll be able to push out and he'll have an adequate number of units, and some settler wagons here are able to push out and get on top of these hunts.
Well, 总之我没有去拿来玩。
Now up to the fortress age as well. Still only has 2 trading posts, so waiting for that explorer to come back up. It won't come up yet, so bringing that villager over to get that up. But he's now up to the fortress age. He wishes his economy would be better, I expect, but can get those trading posts now. Or will Hazard be able to, now that he's up to the fortress age himself, stop that, I suppose is the question.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to go rescue his own explorer, and he'll construct one of these trading posts for himself.
选德国的哈萨会赢。
Pretty soon here, maybe with when his shipment comes in. Oh,
原来是在说他会赢。
There's going to be a little bit of a window here for Hazza to either just clean out some trading posts or else go for a push to sort of whittle down the army before something troublesome like this.
因为他看起来他的分数已经领先到3000多了。
Putting off some ulans from his main army on the mini map there, and going to be just waiting to see what Kaiser does while.
而且。他快速要塞时代感觉也没有受到什么惩罚。
Let's see if they can bring that explorer down again. Oh my god, be the 3rd time. No, but the explorer is going to come home. He's not going to by the looks. He knows that his opponent has a trading post.
我要看村民被屠杀的时候被他移走了。
It looks like the German army is going to be able to take this out here, which is pretty good. So never really allowing Ottoman to get up.
贸易站被烧光光。
Of trading posts. Janissaries, quite a number of them, and 2 falconets arriving to give those Janissaries. So now that this is a full composition, it can actually do something. And I expect we'll see veteran Janissaries coming in very, very shortly. Now being researched at his barracks here, and but is not able to defend that trading post. So now actually only has, still has the 2. switching over to
那什么样的阵营是早期的 ？Rush 那个俄国 Russian， 他是快攻中的快攻吗
Which one of those do you suppose is villages? That
Well, you can look at the villager count on the resources.
Yeah,
on
but
the
Germans
bottom
have settlerwangs, don't they? There's something.
刚刚看我对4号的评价没有很优，东德的坦克单位出哪一架比较？没有啊，东德的4号还不错啊，东德的4号造价才120而已，是还不错的选择。只是说你要知道它是通用载具，如果你在某些情势能够使用一些专业的载具，能够比较有优势的话。就不要去选择通用。举例来说，你顺风顺的很明显的时候，东风绝对比4号好。哇！他的工程器械厂生出一批不知道是什么单位，看起来是奥特曼的特殊单位，然后就被歼灭了。
Yeah, I would like to have seen him.
有人加入 Patreon。
Although looking at this,
我看到了
a very large number of
战锤的通知
decent skirmish mass as well, and a really expensive batch of Abbas just got cleaned up by a few Ulons. So,
但是因为我错过了那一则通知，我现在只好看一下是谁。
I agree with your assessment there, chat. Wrecked, perhaps.
OK， 感谢 Chris 的精神与我同在。
aka H, the red player. Score is now 1-0. I'll update the scoreboard, and we'll get into the next match in just a moment. 刚
刚是算是炮兵单位的鄂图曼炮兵可以使用迫击炮，所以他反什么啊？感谢 Chris 加入。谁赢了？德国赢了。Teach Hetzer， 这应该是他别名吧 ？Hetzer 赢了。
Well, he also did a really good job of like picking off the explorer and making sure that building.
原住民才是快攻，俄罗斯不是快攻。可是我怎么印象中之前评价俄罗斯的阵营的时候说是快攻阵营，虽然说原住民也是快攻阵营没错。
At the minimum, there was 2 Ulans or 3 Ulans in the base trying to pick up vills, trying to direct units to defend rather than to pressure his base, and that's just exactly what you need to do against Ottomans because they don't typically have the most mobile army in the game. As you can see, like he had basically those Hussars he trained for the timing push, and then that was basically all the cavalry he had for this entire game.
稍微把音量加大一点。
It's not easy for them to train more cavalry to deal with raids and still apply a lot of pressure. So just really solid play from Hazza and doing a really good job of controlling the game. Make sure you restart the game before we start the next one.
Alright, just to make sure nothing lags. Makes sense. My room's heating up now. I wish I hadn't turned the central heating on because of my graphics card pumping out lots of warm air. Well done to Vividly Playing. 327,000. Okay, let's get into this load. Recorded games. I have Kaiser Klein. For anyone tuning in, I suppose I ought to...
我怎么看到奇怪的对话
？Summarize.
还有人投 PZ， 那 PZ 就5票咯，因为被5夫没有背叛嘛。
As what this is the grand finals, not in the good way. Well, the series.
我倒回去看一下那个对话。
You keep doing what I do in the main menu here. Always clicking on the tools, expecting to find the recorded games like in the old game.
Yeah, we'll get used to
relocated.
It. We'll get used to it at some point.
愚蠢的 bug 游戏 buggy game.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Spawning on the north of the map in the color blue, we do indeed have Kaiser Klein.
Project Zambile， 就僵尸的生存角色扮演啊。我之前有开过他的多人伺服器，跟朋友一起玩，然后也玩过蛮长一阵子的时间，但不是在我自己的频道吧。我印象中 Project Zambile 在我自己的频道应该是没有开过节目，都是在冰糖猪脚那里开。自由学现在几票？4票。自由学内战4票，战争雷霆海战2票。他的发言是2票，黑暗灵魂2票，不思议王冠1票。
With those 2 settler wagons, and now sending them over to wood so that he can get 50 wood. and indeed get the hunting dogs upgrade in addition to a trading post. So a pretty ambitious start, but I suppose when you have starting markets, actually not too hard to do. And indeed, this is Florida, as I said, so there are a couple of sheep, and perhaps he'll...
是德国一开始就送市场，还是他每次 BO 都是先盖市场？因为一进来还在讲干话拿箱子的时候就已经有市场了，所以这是德国的特性吗？还是什么
？Have Hetzer Chan. For anyone tuning in, I suppose I ought to summarize what this is. This is the grand finals of the Good House Cup. And all donations raised, all funds will go towards Cedric Goodhouse's GoFundMe. It's for a good cause. There'll be more info in the chat or in the description.
还在啊，帮你保留好不好？
As we have,
所以你也要投内战吗？
He is playing in the color blue. Couple of villagers on coin there. Taking down that turkey so that the
所以是地图的特征会送市场。
Spawn on top of it, and this map is Florida, so you indeed start with a market there. So getting 50 coin with those 2 settler wagons, and now sending them over to wood so that you can get 50 wood, and indeed get the hunting dogs upgrade in addition to a trading post.
所以马上挖一点木头，挖一点金矿，赶快先拿狩猎权。
It's actually not too hard to do. And indeed, this is Florida, as I said, so there are a couple of sheep, and perhaps he'll eat them early on. They're not particularly fattened. Let's turn the view lock off so it stops moving us around. Going to use it to scout as well. You know, this is Hetzer Chan. What did I expect? So possibly one of the best players in the game currently, and has been for a very long time. So we can expect all of the small things like this. But yes, that sheep, perhaps he'll eat that just to get up on time. And also we'll be hoping to find some nice big juicy treasures to make sure.
为什么我觉得他的战争名物跟我们看到的不太一样？他的战争名物特别
But both the explorers find each other right away. So that they know they're in the area, which might affect their treasuring. Maybe they won't go, for example, here, this 135 coin. Pretty good treasure, actually. Quite easy to take, I think. Well, maybe. The outlaw blowgunner might be easy enough to kill in hand combat, though I'm not sure how that interacts with the 2 Jaguars. Still a pretty big treasure, but not going to be going for it. He knows blue could be nearby. Hetzer Chan, though, what does he find? A stray dog in need of rescue. Certainly useful, especially early on when there's lots of treasures. But it's not a wood or coin treasure. Well, pardon me, it's not a wood treasure. He does need a house after all. But he's already got that down, by the looks of it. So actually everything all on point. So no longer necessarily looking for wood. Well, really anything, but certainly food. We want to get up on time and make sure everything's all good. 100 XP.
所以这是 Hetzer 是玩德国，那他的对手是
worth 100 XP. We'll be going for that now. Let's switch on over to his opponent, Hetzer, aka H, playing as the British in the color red in the south of the map here. Went for a 2-mana start.
原来是这样念。
He also has that starting market and did get hunting dogs as well. So to be expected there. Idle TC. What's Hetzer doing? Is he going up on? He's going up with 16 vils, just eating those sheep. We're going to see a super fast age here. I think we are, Mike. I think we're going to see something a bit quicker. Or maybe he just wants to get up and send 700 wood sooner so he can spam more manas down. Not quite as interesting, but still, certainly a strong thing to do.
所以这个
We'll be going up with
idol 城镇中心不生产村民，
more about that rush at the end there.
直接冲时代。
Yeah, it looks like he wants to get up a Vil earlier
16人
than
口
normal. Did idols TC a little bit, but I think with Brit, when you're gonna have so many villagers anyway, you can't really.
然后疯狂的砍木头。
A little bit of idle time on your TC.
他2阶是不是有一个？我印象中就是有一个让住宅变得很便宜的剧本。
As you can see, he's sending a villager forward in the middle of the map already. So I imagine he's probably going to be just dropping some military buildings in the middle and just trying to put the pressure.
还是一阶我忘了。
I don't think he sees it. I don't think he sees that vil. So he sees this vil. All right. So he does get some information there. Pardon me.
What's going to be interesting is how late Hetzer ages here. It looks like he's going to be about 10 seconds late on his age up there, just because of the greediness of that start, getting the trading post and hunting dogs. And that means that this early pressure that Hetzer is going to apply is going to have a little bit of a bigger window, having cut the age time himself and Hetzer aging a little bit late. So it's something.
所以英国开始到处盖住宅。
Native Scout going to be picked up for Hetzer, though that's going to be super helpful in sort of identifying this pressure.
Yeah. Hetzer, pardon me, Hetzer coming through his base here with the Explorer. Really nice timing for that. Of course, scouting Germany, certainly something you want to do early. See what they're up to. Lots of wood being gathered.
对到德国的时候，要很早的进去他的基地检查他在干嘛，是因为德国的花招很多，还是？
and ultimately kill the explorer. Now going to the coast to see what's up here. Doesn't find any.
靠，这金鱼可以这样跳到沙岸上是啥小
？And is going to pick himself up the hummingbird nest worth 40 XP there. These sheep are dangerously close to that explorer, but I think ultimately we'll be okay. Kaiser getting a bit of extra scouting there. Let's see what British is up to. He's now in the second age, 700 wood on the way. No forward barracks just yet, just spamming manor houses out in the center of the map here. It's going to give him lots of visibility.
所以他只是运了很多的木头进来盖房子。他下方会显示他已经送过的船运吧，我有点忘了，但是好像没有显示他有送那个住宅降价的船运。
The Red Explorer is nearby, so is able to defend it. Really nice there. But no forward military building. In fact, no military building in base either. Just a fast age and building manors sort of on the sides of the map here for that line of sight. And that'll be really helpful against the German player, of course, who indeed does get those free Uhlans, which are really quite good at raiding. But now, only just up to the second age here. That 3
不思议王冠加一，
starting to come.
不思议王冠2票。
Building is stable with that 400 wood. Has got placer mines there. We get steel traps. Just everything feeling a bit sluggish because of that start, but certainly a really nice start.
一个人打全家，被打退了，他不用死在那里。
The age time, which is exactly, I suppose, what we are calling out. But now Uhlans finally in queue. Thankfully, though, it's not going to be too important. You said Hazard does like to play aggressive sometimes, but not going to be the case in this game. So ultimately, I think the German start overall really good. It's just so good to get those early upgrades and so on. So I think he'll be pleased with that. Nothing too aggressive from British.
对啊，他的 shipment 现在就只有送了村民跟木头而已，他所以就是送很多木头进来盖更多的住宅，没有拿那个住宅变便宜的第一个 shipment.
Pikemen in queue and 5 villages on the way. What do you make of this, Maito?
开始生产 pikemen.
Yeah, it looks like the plan was really just to get as much vision as possible, just to keep his villagers nice and safe from those Ulan raids. He'll have plenty of time to react when they come in to line of sight of any of his manors. And yeah, just gonna be training.
所以 pikemen 还真的有人是军事单位一开始就先造 pikemen， 我以为他妈的他是只有用来打骑兵而已，还是因为他对到的是德国，反正横竖一定会有骑兵，所以先造 pikemen 一定用得到。
Anytime soon. So I think what we're going to see is just him defending villagers here and then possibly sending 700 gold to try and age.
He's got the double action coming on. Two Uhlans coming in from the side, which arrive first. They do get a number of hits on that Vill, but ultimately drawing the attention of the pikemen.
因为是对德国，所以 pikemen 就直接可以造了，没有差，一定会有用。
However, that said, there are more pikemen. They've just been trained, so they can sort of defend against these Uhlans. Doesn't find any forward villagers, although there is one. Hazard just noticing it now, bringing that in. Ultimately, Kaiser Klein looking to get some villager kills. Whether he can do that remains to be seen, and looking to achieve that. Let's see how he gets on. Hazard has done a very good job of herding. A lot of deer on Florida, has done a very good job of bringing that back herd in, and another as well. So just quite a lot of deer just under his TC. Ultimately, though, good control on these Uhlans. Gets a couple of hits there, not staying too long. He knows there's a lot of pikemen around. Making these vills get built up, so is achieving some damage. Even more Uhlans being added in here. Let's switch on over to Kaiser Klein and see what he's been up to. Just training tons and tons of Uhlans. No age up in sight by the looks of it. 700 coin on the way, but with a second stable coming down, Mike, I think that's more likely to be used just to spam Uhlans. It looks unrelenting. He's just looking to spam these cavalry.
两座马就是狂产骑兵。
Reach some sort of critical mass of Ulan. Do you think he has intentions of aging soon? This looks. This is not how Germany deletes that stable. Actually, going to go with the barracks. What do you think of all this?
然后删掉换成兵营了。
Are you there, Mike? We may have lost the two. But double.
Oh, I've been muted. I'm sorry.
Oh, right. Well, that explains what's up. I was about to comment on the Doppelsoddeners in Q. He deleted the stable and replaced it with a. Well, you tell me.
Yeah, it just looks like he's going to be going for some kind of timing here. Maybe he wants it to look like he's aging. Like these are all the ones he's going to make.
No.
This is typically when Germany would think about aging,
十字工兵
right? And then he's just going to try and maybe catch Haz off guard. But is that one lone pikeman just doing some scouting in Kaiser's base?
It would appear so.
Yeah, so that's
and a low HP pikeman too.
Although I don't know that he actually spotted the barracks. But yeah, that's a good move on Hazard, just making sure that he actually knows what's going on or trying to find out what's going on. But yeah, Kaiser pushing in here. There's going to be crossbows coming across the middle of the map, and there's going to be a push here while Hazard trying to age. This is not normally.
话说德国的那个货车工人到底是强多少啊？因为法国也说他的工人比较强，那德国的货车工人特性是
Yeah, and I didn't really manage to catch too many villagers. There was a decent amount of idle time. I'm not certain if he killed any villagers actually.
还是法国的是攻防体质采集率都有增加，然后德国的是只增加它的采集率。
I'm not sure what the numbers are just yet. This is still relatively new, but yeah, you're saying this is kind of flipped. Instead, we've got a different player pushing in at this time with
德国的有2倍工作效率。
I think though at this point in the game, I didn't expect him to go in there, and he's not going to. Still, keeping those vills belled up, still being really diligent here. But yes, Kaiser Klein now in transition and just looking to poke around with those those Uhlans whilst he's aging. Doesn't want to commit to anything really in particular. Does get a villager there with a couple of crossbowmen, a couple of Uhlans in the back there, doing a really nice job of just being a pain in the neck. But ultimately now going to be up to the next stage, going up with the Exile Prince, so fast stage. I think now that we're getting to this point in the game, let's evaluate their population. We can see here villager population for the Germans.
马车只有打卡能送，不能够生产。
British there, so relatively even. Let's take a look at their upgrades. Steel traps, place and mines, hunting dogs, all that good stuff. And I expect the same for these German vills as well. Indeed. So economy's relatively even. British actually slightly further ahead. But remember, British have to invest a lot more in those villages due to the houses that they construct and so on. Has 140 pop there not really being used. So I think Germany sort of a little bit ahead for the time being, especially now that he's up to the fortress age and does have shipments on the way. And going to be destroying a few of these manors in the center of the map for indeed that kill XP. Just to keep this big push up. And we'll have veteran Uhlans in very, very shortly. 3 war wagons about to pop, and then another shipment after that, and that will be Germany's big time to do some damage, and we'll have to reassess the game at that point. But British, let's switch back to him. Has also age 3, did manage to get up, and doesn't look like he's wanting to defend those 2 manors. I suppose they're not overly valuable just yet. We'll be waiting for indeed more units to pop. Has 5 hussars on the way. And they're not veteran just yet, so no reason to leave his base until he does get that veterancy upgrade in. But I think very shortly we're going to see something coming out to poke with those longbowmen. Doesn't want to go too far and staying very close to his pikemen there. But now veteran hussars coming in. Meanwhile, a few cavalry still running around, just a couple. Kaiser Klein not letting up on that. Switching over to Kaiser Klein again. That second shipment we saw, the war wagons first, skirmishers now arriving, and veteran Uhlans are being researched there, getting ready for that big push.
Yep, and just want to point out, like, something a lot of people say is not to siege British manors, but if we take a look at Hazard's point of view, we can see that he's actually
德国会很缺经验，可是上一场德国赢，然后他没有抢到贸易战啊，他一开始贸易战是被对手抢走的。 对手盖2座，他1座都没有，所以我也不知道是看打法的差别吗？
And there's not a lot of anti-cavalry here. This could be good for Hazza, it looks like.
Yeah, hussars on top of those war wagons.
没有足够的反击兵。
Back. And a couple of Uhlans there against the pikemans. This is not a good side to be on. Ultimately, I'd want to be the British player, I think, in this fight. You're trying to get those Uhlans back away from those pikemen. The hussars, though, are trying to catch the snare, trying to use up these skirmishers. He's got to focus down those muskets, those pikemen, so that these Uhlans can finally be useful. But really, that Uhlans mass has dwindled away, and now these longbowmen in the back can just sit here firing off uncontested. So that's really, really good for Hazard. I think ultimately, really nice fight for him. Let's switch back to Kaiser Klein and see what's coming. 4 Uhlans, that's what he needs. Though only 4, there's not going to be enough to really contest the longbowman, but certainly Hazard doesn't want to stick around too long. He's only got 4 hussars left, and a big longbowman mass here would be vulnerable to a pop of, say, 9 Uhlans, which is what's coming, plus these 4 there. So whilst it was a really good fight, he wants to get get out whilst he's ahead, mass some more anti-cavalry, and just really consolidate that extra that lead, I suppose. Settler Wagon does go down, so both players, and indeed, as I'm saying this, there's 2 Ulans in the back of Red's base here. There was a Settler Wagon that went down here, and the Ulans. So still, whilst all of that's happening, both players being very diligent on the raids. Another villager goes down there. Good to see.
Yep, just trying to
持续骚扰经济
make sure they're being honest and defending their villagers, not being too lazy about that. Looks like these 2 Ulans gonna get caught. At least one of them is gonna get snared here. Looks like Hazza gonna move 2 of them in front just to make sure he catches both of them. So gonna be a nice pickup for him. And yeah, well, that was a really good fight for Hazza, but as a result of the army sort of having dwindled here, Kaiser, it looks like, is reinforcing more quickly. Like, Hazza's moving a lot of villagers between resources at the moment, and soon he's going to be out of safe hunts in the back of his base. So, like, he's up in score by quite a bit, and he does sort of have, you know, the economy edge and stuff like that, but not really able to leverage it too much at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, all the economy in the world doesn't matter if you don't have hunt 1 or 2 minutes from now. So, things still pretty close, despite the slight score gap. And yeah, there's going to be a pretty scary German army in a minute here. We'll see how Hazza manages to deal with that, if he can get back onto hunts when that hunt behind his base runs out. And a forward tower actually coming up here just to secure the gold mine, and maybe to act as a forward shipment point as well, just to allow him to apply more pressure.
Yeah, and if any fighting happens there, 30 range damage with times 1.5 versus cavalry, also nothing to scoff at. And that could be where the fighting happens, certainly at some point. 2 Ulans up in the top here, just going to repel that raid away. Something I wanted to point out, though, was that, you know, we saw Hazza early on, I think, had quite a good fight up in Tai's base. And, wanted to get back and consolidate that. And I think what he chose to do was send cavalry combat with that slight lead that he got. Felt that he was able to get that sort of greedier shipment in. Could have been something else. These Ulans being pursued, so both players able to catch those raids and start slowing down. Now at this point in the game. Let's take a look at Hazza's deck. Chose to send cavalry combat when 9 muskets or 2 falconets or anything, you know, something like that was available. So looking for that longer term play, and perhaps felt that he could get away with it because of that sort of earlier victory here. But, you know, you're pointing out, yes, British players' hunt is starting to run low. He does need to be very wary of the Germans and that civ bonus that gets those extra Ulans that can mass very, very quickly. And, you know, as you said, if you can't defend your hunts, well, that's that really. The game won't go on for too long. But yeah, he's gotten those upgrades in, and for worth pointing out, for British that affects indeed dragoons
没有可拿可不拿加长版以及你有他已经有先期投入，你要先花200目啊，所以他概念上就已经跟乙级差不多。
What's he up to? Moving up to the top, sees a mine, not pushing in just yet, getting Yeoman in. So another
而且乙级还比贸易战安全。
units.
贸易战是地图的固定位置。
When you have a certain mass of units, obviously it's better to send those shipments, but cavalry combat, I think, was debatable. So certainly looking for that longer game here. Let's switch back to Kaiser Klein. Because of those upgrades, if he's checked, if he's been diligent, if he's clicked on those units, he'll know that's in, and we'll need to make something happen in order to stop Hazza really running away with the game. Has got an absolutely enormous army, so should very well be able to do something. That's a lot of Ulans. We see, well, that's 10 villages. We see 28 cavalry there, as well as 23 skirmishers and a few war wagons in the back. Skirmishers coming forward.
那这样看起来德国不是还是没有反击兵吗？
because of Yeoman, so he's
还是英国的主力一向不太会是骑兵，所以不用担心。
He's able to just set up any skirmishers, can't really poke anymore. This outpost could well be quite useful, as we pointed out earlier. But I think H, yeah, let's take a look at the villages. So 37 for the Germans, 58, and those upgrades in for British. Germany really needs to do something soon.
Yeah, it feels like he's maybe missing his window a little bit. Like he maybe got thrown off by that fight, maybe thinking that he's not able to replace his army as quickly as he is, or that Hazza is able to replace it more quickly. And as a result, Hazza's managed to sort of catch up in army count for the most part, and with that cavalry combat and the Yeoman upgrade on top of it, his army's looking pretty strong. So things are looking to be getting pretty difficult for Germany the longer this goes. And he's definitely going to try something soon. Question is, I don't know if he knows exactly where all of the hunts are. He's been pressuring this right side of the map where the hunts are with his raids a little bit, but hasn't really found any villagers as has sort of moved to the left side of the map here near his army. And I don't know if if Kaiser's really scouted the whole map there, but looks like he knows that Haz's army is sticking around here, which means the economy's got to be nearby as well. But yeah, just biding his time. We'll see when he chooses to go. Maybe just waiting for his own upgrades to come in before he chooses to commit to anything at this point.
不太确定为什么英国的军队图控一直是往中间那块水沼泽走，那边有控制什么重要的资源吗
？Not great to poke at longbowmen. Big cavalry mass. Lots of dragoons and hussars here. Let's switch over to Hazza. Has a couple of falconets coming from his home city, as well as cavalry cuirass. So by the looks of it, getting an arsenal down as well, and cavalry hit points coming in. This is a good time for Germany to push in here before those upgrades are in. Cavalry cuirass will only affect these hussars though, and quite a number of them gone down already. But this is a lot of units just being jammed in on top here. Those Uhlans were able to get a few hits on those dragoons, which was really nice, and there's a really good surround here on a few of the longbowmen and some of those hussars there. But ultimately, there are a lot of red dragoons, and those hussars, pardon me, Uhlans don't have too much hit points, so will sort of dwindle away. And now that the cavalry is gone, there's no more Uhlans, there's no more war wagons. We do see 7 hussars able to just clean up, nothing really to stop them doing so on those skirmishes, and it does look like Kaiser Clan going to tap out there.
所以是为了掩护村民狩猎。
To British. I think he did have a window to push in.
他自己家附近也还有猎场，为什么需要走到这么远的地方猎，然后把军队一起调上去
？And I think Hazza made some good choices there with cavalry combat early. And whilst he did do lots of raiding, the red player, pardon me, the blue player, ultimately didn't get too many villages. And Hazza, in the end, does take that. And 134,700 points. Insider trading. All right.
所以现在是哈萨2连胜。
Number 2 in this best of 7 series. T-Rex coming in with the $20 instant.
这些垃圾广告。我是真的不知道为什么到现在还是有办法继续一直打广告。这一类的游戏到底是有谁看了会想要去玩？奇怪，我不明白。
Both those explorers and indeed the cherry orchard wagon going to be. Let's turn off the view lock over to the left-hand side of the map in search of the llamas. Oh, I haven't said that in a while. Pampa Sierras holds a special place in my heart. It was in the New World Championship map pool and is one of my favorites.
我没有在装 AD-Block 的
large number of civs that can be played on it, perhaps more than Tar Desert for those of you that remember.
那些东西正常来说是违法的。
I think that's coming your way if you're watching that on YouTube. It's been long enough, I think, and Escape doesn't really exist.
这图超讨厌。
Yes, insider trading, because in the south of the map, in the color blue, we do indeed have Kaiser Clan playing as not.
我对于 YouTube 播放广告给我看没意见，我只是觉得那个广告很智障，那种智障游戏为什么赚得到钱？
6 villagers in queue. 2 batches, that is.
因为你既然要去使用 YouTube 的服务，那你就照人家的规则来，你不要就是做这种有点偷鸡摸狗的事，因为毕竟那个很明显就是妨碍别人的收入来源。就是他之所以用这个网站提供这些服务给你看这些东西，他的收入就是要靠这些广告赞助这些来源。然后你还把人家的这个挡掉之后，那你为什么要挡掉之后还是要去看 YouTube？ 买 YT 会员是合法的啊，是没有问题啊。我说 AD-Block 是不一样的。
3 starting units if you include the chariot rickshaw. I think that's really quite good, might say.
只玩过根据广告开发的游戏，更智障。这广告都已经有梗了，就对了。
No, it's not. Overlay is not up. Screw you, Fran, you bastard! $3 well spent. Well, continue.
我不知道他们在干嘛。
He's tricked you. Yeah, Hazza actually didn't go for a consulate this game, which is sort of, I would say, the normal thing to do as Japan at the moment.
有人打超级留言骗他说他的那个界面用错了，然后结果他反而把那个遮挡页面打开嘛，好像是这样。
or around the same time, rather, as if you built 2 shrines like this. But you are going to have the export left over for if you want to go with the Japanese consulate for extra units, which I think is what he's going to do here, which is going to mean he's going to have a couple of extra clubmen to help defend the early pressure that Russia is going to be putting on.
日本对俄国要看卡牌，不然看不出来谁比较有优势。是哦，我怎么记得照世纪3的阵营平等，日本的平等是 S 级的，比俄国要好很多。虽然说照这样讲也不准，因为像世纪2的平等，玛雅也是很长时间是 S 级的，但是他被哥德屌虐，所以也不好说。哥德一直都是低级的。
And of course sending 2 villagers as well, which is, well, not as good as 3 villagers, but certainly if you don't want to go greedy kami, is an option. I really like 2 villagers. I think it's a good number because at that number you start to see other shipments sort of open up as being useful. Anyway, I don't need to discuss my design opinions at the moment. But yeah, there's also llamas on this map. So I suppose, in a way, because of those llamas, because he's up against Russia, he's got an extra economy from this shrine. Doesn't need, perhaps, that Portuguese consulate and just wants to be super, super safe. So that's what we're seeing him do. Interesting to see. I can't really recap you on the treasures. There's no treasure log, but we do see 80 coin going to blue here.
所以他自己找到的落马，他也不能杀，只能够放进神社，产生资源细流这样。
But yeah, look at that. The presence of the monk actually kind of forcing the blockhouse to be built a bit further back. I think it could have been placed sort of here or maybe here, but ultimately actually there. So I don't know if that will really mean too much, but the monk could have blocked it. So and Kaiser Klein not really wanting that to happen, starting to siege it down and get a bit of early damage. However, in the meantime, poof, will escape just in time, but it looks like that stunned Guardian, the red player was going for it. 75 wood going to blue, so really nice treasuring from him there. I suppose that those monks being separated.
这是被截标了的意思吗？被蓝湖了。
So ultimately, I'm going to give Russia a really strong start because of the large number of llamas he found, given the small number of starting units, and indeed this that really powerful treasure start we just saw, and some.
今天不是世纪3哦，我们前面1个小时只是让大家发表一下你想看的是什么，然后我会花这一段时间看一下世纪3的比赛。目前是 Project Zamba 6票 ，Heart of Iron 4 2票，沃山的1票 ，Dark Soul 2 1票，然后 ZhiWei 2内战4票，不思议王冠2票。
So that'll just allow him to sit under the town center a little bit longer, also fight a little bit better against enemy infantry like the Yumi or Ashigaru. So nothing too surprising here. Some clubmen going to be coming out for Haza, allow him to defend against those Cossacks more easily, and a barracks going up, going to be queuing some Yumi archers to just sort of sit behind the clubs there. And yeah, I mean he's gonna have all
日本的村民是批次训练的。
For the Russian army to arrive here, and he's gonna have even some gold available for some Minutemen. So we'll have to see if Kaiser can actually get anything done here. Coming in under the town center now with the Strelets Cossacks coming in shortly thereafter, gonna get a couple shots on that clubman, but nothing dead yet. Ooh, Yumi out of position here. He's forced the clubman to get behind the town center.
是打卡 ，OK。
easily onto those
但奇怪，怎么会跳出一群村民？
But not actually on top of them just yet.
俄罗斯才是第一次训练
killing those Yumi archers, but yeah, I like the positioning there. But actually, Hazard's maneuvered himself out of it, and he will manage to keep all of those Yumi archers alive. The clubmen are indeed going to go down and does have to call sentries to make it happen. But ultimately, Japan could have been much worse off, and not the case there. So I think he'll be quite pleased, especially given that the big shrine here doesn't have any animals on it. I wonder what happened. Did these sort of wander off in the wrong direction, or something like that? But yeah, I think that's really important for this game.
它不是自动吸着猎物的，你还要自己赶猎物上去吗？
Would compound that a lot. So good defense from Hazard, or at least it worked out okay, I suppose. But Russia is still Russia. Second military unit shipment on the way. 4 Cossacks plus 10 Strelets does arrive just now. Going to come in for another push. still has 3 Cossacks.
有一个范围，但是他盖的时候范围确实还就是距离动物还蛮近的。他盖好之后动物跑掉了。
He's gonna get some scouting information here as well. He's gonna see the market going down. Yeah, Cossacks coming in, gonna be going on to the Yumi archers. The sentries just gonna be jumping into cover mode there. I guess they don't feel.
还是刚才不知道为什么俄国偷偷的把动物赶走了。
Four Cossacks coming in here. The anti-cav has been cleaned up. Kaiser could potentially get on top of these Yumis.
Yeah, and it looks like that's what he's gonna do. Those. Let's hold the Alt key so we can see how high the HP they are. Those Cossacks are going down. Is there any units in this TC? No, he's just gonna kite those Hussars back. Pardon me, those cavalry back. And going to lose all of those Yumi there. 4 more going to pop. Ultimately,
等一下，那是斧头吗？
A few units, but still very much in the game here.
他在拿斧头砍人吗？
Russia just sort of sending the 10 Strelets and those Cossacks under. Do you think he got enough work done? There's a lot of Vils belled up.
Yeah.
Was that what was able to make that happen? I clicked on the TC and didn't see any units in. I clicked on the TC. I thought there was going to be units inside, which is why he was so calm about those Cossacks on top of his Yumi archers, because the town center was able to sort of kill them off. But I can't. Where does it say if there's units inside it? I don't know.
It's right on the left. By there, you see the little transparent box.
Oh right. Well, I don't know if there were any in there or not.
I think there was a couple. I think I saw the garrison flag on there. But either way, yeah, this pressure, I mean, Hazza's done a really good job of holding it. He does have a slight score lead, but that's nothing really too unusual with Russia in the game. The one thing that this pressure has done is it sort of just prevented Hazza from getting comfortable. It looks like that market had to be cancelled just to get extra Yumi archers out.
Okay, so it's no different from a regular game. This is where they would appear normally. Okay. I thought it was being shown somewhere else, or pardon me. You continue.
Yeah. So anyway, his pressure has been holding this pressure pretty easily for the most part, but that doesn't mean that Kaiser hasn't done any damage. It's made it difficult for him to get the wood, to get extra shrines up, to get that market up, as I already mentioned, and get those upgrades.
刚刚林克不是说超讨厌这张地图
down quite a bit, and behind this, as long as Russia's training units, the Russian bonus with the batch training on the settlers means you're getting an extra settler with every batch. So every batch, Kaiser's going to be pulling further and further ahead as long as he can delay the Japanese boom. So yeah, he can't be too upset about that.
Second blockhouse has been added in as well. Feels like the right time there. Sent 5 and 4 Cossacks. Lots of damage done, or some damage done, or at least tried to. Followed by 700 wood and some more infrastructure. But it's now at a point where it needs a few more houses. There's a few villas on wood and some houses starting to go up here. But yeah, I suppose he is at a point where he needs to consider. Well, I suppose he's got the 2 blockhouses, and that's absolutely what's going to happen with the 700 coin. Perhaps he'll just start spamming muskets and indeed Cossacks as well from his stable. That looks like what he will do. But really struggling with the population, switching quite a number of vills over there to wood just to get enough up, and some 700 coin coming in, so perhaps he can buy 100 or 200 wood as well at the market there. But whilst those units are coming and he's waiting for that 700 coin to be spent, sieging down some shrines with his units here and sort of poking with the Strelets, which have 30% range resist and can stand up to the Yumi, I suppose, providing they're in range. Does take down that shrine, is now going to get back. Let's take a look at their unit villager population. 32 for Russia. Not sure if this counts shrines, but 33 for Japan. There's 34 villagers there, so no, it does not count the shrines. But he doesn't have many shrines, so that's not really a huge part of his eco, and indeed he hasn't sent Kami and things like that, so it's not like they're a super big deal here. So, actually, quite even economies.
Yeah, especially since Japan has to be gathering berries instead of hunts.
True.
So things are looking.
我看俄国也没有派很多人在地图上到处走，他怎么知道外面都没有被偷盖神社之类的？还是其实也不用理他，就给他盖。
So I would say that maybe Kaiser has a slight advantage at the moment, and he's got to be feeling pretty comfortable. He needs to make sure that he's on top of these shrines. He did kill the one shrine there, but as you can see, has got his 2 monks sort of on either side of the map, just ready to place shrines on these hunts. And that's something that Kaiser's going to have to start looking out for. He did scout sort of the Japanese consulate earlier. I'm sure he clicked on a shrine and checked if Heavenly Kami was sent. So he knows that like a full-on shrine spam is not going to be something that's really feasible. But he will have to start sending units out there to check, make sure that he's not letting it get out of control.
Daimyo Mochitada has joined the battlefield. Maybe this is a good time for
没时间盖他的
I wonder if he'll be interested in pushing out. I'm not
他的
sure
星星不是一直在外面跑吗？
Well, I'm not sure that's the right thing to do. Kaiser Klein, though, Boyars has just come in. So those Strelets and those
理论上应该是一直在盖啊。
Cossacks, this is a good time to push. And that Daimyo, yeah, comfortably in the back there, doesn't really want to be losing that. It's providing extra stats.
Yeah, but the Boyars is in now. It's a really good upgrade. So the Russian army is pretty strong, and he's got a lot of units here. Musketeers going to be joining the Cossacks there against the Nagi. They're going to pull back slightly, just into this choke point, make it a little bit.
所以俄国左下的这些兵种是什么？是他的游击兵吗？他的 skirmisher
Overall, looking pretty
轻步兵
even so far. Russia's probably going to pull out a slight advantage at the end of this fight. It looks like, or maybe not. It's pretty close.
Yeah, although the musket count's starting to dwindle. And once that disappears, those Nagi are going to be really good on the back line of the Strelets. Though there are a number of Cossacks which do trade really, really well against the Nagi as well. And the Strelets, well, they're not super powerful units, so there's not too much, I guess, invested there. But ultimately, both players are going to disengage at that point. And it looks like if we switch over to
打来打去死了一堆人，但是
more shrines still going down. So what's been going on in the back?
没有任何成效，这理论上对日本来讲是好的吗？
Russia's 700 coin here. Wonder if he can spend that down. If he gets them into units, that would be really, really helpful. Hazard. Okay, at this point in the game, by the looks of it, yeah, needing to send the cherry orchards. So we'll have to take a moment to slow down.
一次可以生产10只的垃圾兵。
I don't think he's had the time, but has he sent any other upgrades aside from the Daimyo?
No, just the Daimyo. What do you think of that? Isn't it only 10% attack? And these are 15%. Oh, that's 10% all unit, though, I guess. And is a big unit.
It affects affects your Nagi as well, and your Yumis and Ashis get equally affected.
Yumi 20%. Okay, so if you have a big mass of Yumi, that's probably better. But yeah, this is affecting every unit, and if it comes down to it, you have a big chunky 750 HP. I think it's got that big chunky unit anyway.
And he can train units himself as well. So
a barracks.
Daimyo's a pretty good card overall.
Yeah, don't lose it.
But yeah, I mean, Hazard got the better end of that fight in his base there. He had some really good micro with the Nagi, always making sure he was pulling back at just the right moment when the Musketeers are going into melee mode. But despite that, like, I don't think he's really gotten an advantage in this game. He's going to try pushing the blockhouses now, but there's a lot of infantry behind this, and it's not going to be super easy for him to get anything done. I mean, he knows that he can't really afford to just sit back and do nothing at this point. Like, he's sort of been forced to not send upgrades for the time being. And Kaiser is starting to control those shrines.
他两只探索者都倒了。
And Musketeers. So things are looking pretty good for Russia at this point. Japan is sort of struggling to keep up in the mass, and his economy's not really pulled super far ahead, only in the 130 shrine pop. I don't know if the hunts are on his wonder yet. But yeah, things are looking good for Kaiser so far.
Ashigaru attack coming in. I believe he's also got... Oh, so he cancelled Yumi attack and sent Ashi attack instead by the looks of it. But did have it in queue at some point. That Daimyo's still looking pretty healthy. Let's take a look at the village account. 43. And on 130 shrine population there. Russia really starting to get a lot of units. In fact, look at that. 18 Cossacks, 25 muskets, 30 Strelets, more Cossacks entering the fight there. But on 47 villager population, so only 5 ahead. Only 5 ahead. I suppose the shrines kind of do make up for that on Japan. And there is that trickle to think about that Russia has as well. But I'd say, actually, economically speaking, they're very, very even. So it comes down to what scaling can we see going forward. We should also point out, again, like you said, that the berries are not quite as good as hunts. In fact, they're much worse. So with that in mind, Russia probably is ahead. But Japan has a very defendable economy. Hard to raid because of that. And he's got Yumi attack and he's already sent Ashigaru attack. Whereas Kaiser Klein, just Boyars. I suppose that's that kind of makes up for both of those things.
Speaking of raids, looks like Cass has actually split off some Nagi in the bottom just to try and harass actually some villagers. Going to take out both of these Nagi with no problems, it seems. One Vil does go down, so I mean trading 2 low HP Nagi for 1 Vil's probably not that bad.
Age up.
Ooh, yeah, he is going to be aging.
So I did wonder. That's why I was sort of like looking between the two players at their villager counts and their unit counts and their scaling. You know what cards they had. I was just trying to figure out where the game goes from here. But by the looks of it, Kaiser Klein has decided that aging up, he's going with the right thing to do. And if he can get up and get those units upgraded, that's really, really good. And has the 2 blockhouses, so is in a good position just to sit and buy these. I don't actually think it has that much range. I think that's his line of sight. That seems to be wrong. Either way, though, is going to go up to the next stage. That seems to be what he wants to do, whereas Japan still is going to stay in the commerce age and is training lots of units here. Now
防骑兵的，所以是反骑兵的兵种。
boost. But what do you think of Kaiser Klein's decision?
这游戏里面有近战的步兵不是反骑兵的吗？还是只要看到近战步兵基本都是反骑兵？
Without risking a really poor fight with the reinforcements coming and stuff like that, and just the strength of the Japanese units. Aging up is going to allow him to get the Falconets, which he's sending at the moment.
所以他是没有给日本长枪兵这个选项，还是
sort of slow push
还是他的
force Haza to start the fight?
这是他的强化版。
And yeah, those upgrades on an army this size are going to be really, really helpful. And it's going to give him a big window here because Haza's been investing a lot into army and trying to push these blockhouses, and it's going to be hard for him to age up himself. He's dropped the Wonder now, it looks like, in the back of his base there, probably going to be the Golden Pavilion, and so he is going to be able to follow here, but it's going to be pretty slow, and I don't know that he has the time to really get up before he takes sort of lethal damage to this veteran Russian army with the 2 Falcons behind it.
Yeah, did choose to put 8 Vils on there, all 8, so that he can get up ASAP. But actually, so Garrison can get away from. I thought for a moment he was unsafe. But yeah, as you say, those cannons just going to park outside the base. There's actually quite a number of villagers. Cossacks on top of them. Is he shooting at the villagers with his cannons? Just trying to get them down. It does kill quite a few of them. Not too many get inside that town center, I think. But now, yeah, he's just going to start the fight. He's starting to really batter down that barracks. One of them goes down. Thankfully, no units in queue. He's actually training at his stables, but still going to have to replace that in the back of his base that we can see there. And Japan has been caught at a bad moment, perhaps even with his pants down, I think is how we used to describe this. It's not ideal. He's aging. He hasn't got those upgrades in. He doesn't really want to be fighting yet. He could have been training units, but hasn't because he chose to age. This is really, really nice for Kaiser. He's just shown up at the right time and starting to do lots of damage. Japan, however, trying to take down these cannons with his town center. So it does have units garrisoned. Ah, yes, 12 in here. Starting to try and kill that Falconet. And if he can get one of them down, I think then once one of them's down, maybe that's the moment to go in. And also has a disciplined Ashigaru coming as well. Where's his stable? He doesn't quite have the resources for.
日本没有民兵可以叫吗？还是说这个时候叫民兵也没有？
It's nearly down. He doesn't quite want to fight yet. Okay, it is down. Now can he handle it? The thing is though, there's just so many blue units here. We've got an absolute ton. 34 musketeers and 26 strelets as well. There's just a lot of stuff here.
The army size is massive for Russia. There's 2 flaming arrows coming behind this for Japan.
玩日本只要遇到欧洲的任何国家都很难打，真假的？日本，我看别人评价 S 级，然后对到欧洲都很难打。这游戏大概有，绝对超过一半的国家都是欧洲国家。全世界都克你，还可以 S 级评价，不可能吧？
but I think the damage has been done. You know, Kaiser
亚洲的民兵相对都比较弱，
killed like 10 vills or so on this push and got a really nice trade.
那他有比较
The army
便
really
宜
made
吗？
things
不然
uncomfortable for Haza.
这说不通
And
啊。
behind this,
民
you
兵
know,
不就是用
you've
来
got
救
some,
火的？
Oprichniks coming in that are going to be sieging down the shrine super easily. That's a huge advantage that Russia does have in this matchup. Even going to be building a second TC on the left side of the map.
所以
with his
可以
Explorer
叫
Games
两
to
波
try
民
and
兵。
get the economic advantage going. And there's some hidden ninja vills here for Haza that are just going to go down in full line of sight of the shrine.
Yeah.
Just going to be an easy pickup for Kaiser. So things are looking really, really, really good for Russia at this point. Some Nagi going to be trying to get some counter raids of their own. Try to claw his way back into this game the hard way. But things are going to be difficult for him from this point forward. He does have the flaming arrows, which is going to allow him to slow siege these blockhouses. But yeah, we'll see if he can somehow pull a miracle out of his hat and win a fight or get onto the map.
Yeah, just to reiterate what you're saying there, so 59 villages to Kaiserklein, just remember that number, up against now 44, so the result of that fight, a lot of villages went down, a lot of damage was done, those Falconets got a lot of work done, and now, so now he's economically far behind, especially with the extra TC, and we saw those villagers just die a moment ago, but the one thing he does have, as he's saying, is artillery, whereas Russia, his cannons, they're gone now. So if he can, and look at that, God, make it cleaning up the barracks here. I'm actually, you know, this is exactly what he needs. But still, I look at the size of the Russian army and think, not sure these can get too much work done. But I suppose Japanese units, they do have, I think all the upgrades are in now. No, and the daimyo's still around. Doesn't have Yumi attack, but. Does have the Japanese consulate, does have that other card in his deck. So these units, you know, and Japanese units are quite expensive. So and Russian ones are really cheap. So I suppose this is. But still, look at how many there are. I'm just trying to find reasons to say yes, Japan is okay, well, but ultimately it looks sketchy. But still, he's running around doing lots of work.
It's definitely going to be hard, especially with the Oprichniks sieging down.
俄国的军营跟原住民的军营一样，都会攻击哦，都是会攻击的。
Hunts, which is going to be a lot worse. But he could pick up a lot of vills here, and as long as he doesn't lose his army... here we go, though. Strelit's going to be coming in. Musketeer is very out of position. This could actually be Hass's opportunity, but I think the army is not quite large enough. And the Cossacks not going to be afraid of the Ashigaru there. Just going to go straight on in. A few Nagi going to be coming in trying to reinforce getting on those Strelits, but... At the end of the day, it looks like the army is going to be cleaned up. And Haza's got nothing left behind this, and that's going to be the GG.
That is the GG, and I think that's the outcome we were sort of looking at when...
Has to rebuild the barracks anyway.
那除非有人还要想要投票，但是还没投票的，不然照现在来看，我们等一下应该是开 Project Zomba。那目前是 Project Zomba 6票。Heart of Iron 2 ，Heart of Iron 4 2票，沃山的1票 ，Dark Soul 2 1票，然后英雄联队2内战4票，不思议王冠2票。那除非，大概也只有英雄联队比较有机会，但剩下的看起来票数的差距有点大。没有的话，我们就休息一下，等一下我会重新开这个 Project 300的台。感谢大家收看，拜拜。